I know what the issue is. It's because I changed those logos, so it added some link to that video. What's up, Eric? How you doing?
What's up, Mikey? Welcome to our favorite part of the week. Not just Tontos.
Not just Tontos.
It's our favorite part of the week, too.
And it's funny because right now you see Tonto posting yet our little eye symbol. Oh, there it goes. Because I was like, wait a minute.
We ain't got nobody watching us.
Nobody's
sucker.
watching yet. Tonto's commenting. So what's up, Tonto? We appreciate you.
Yeah.
You're back on top again. First one.
Yeah, one in a row doesn't make a streak, though. So we'll see you next week, pal.
Stupid. Eric, how was your week, buddy?
It's been interesting, Michael. It has been an interesting week. I do appreciate all of humankind and mankind and all the Homo
What's up,
sapiens
Brian
out
Roof?
there.
How you doing, buddy?
Brian Roof, we're just talking about you. Your ears must be ringing.
Yep.
Your ears must be ringing.
So you had a good week.
We had a good week. Yeah.
No, we were sharing the love, Tonto.
Love the love.
Yeah.
Love is love. Were you in here just about 30 seconds before we went on
we
air?
weren't talking about that. Like,
were you seriously not on the air?
We weren't talking about that kind of love.
Love is love. Love is love. I got a floater
here
somewhere unless it's in my eyeballs.
Enough with
Dun,
that.
dun, dun.
Hey, so your week was good. Welcome everybody to the Contagion Effect Show, where we talk to your veterans and hear some amazing stories, talk about mental health, talk about whatever comes up. And tonight will be another one of those great stories. Look at all these people talking.
Gary Miller, Mobile Tax
Service.
What's up, fellas? Mike, so you just said we're going to find out a good story, right? And I don't want to jump the gun, but how long does it take you to walk 2.6 million plus mile
2.6 million miles?
2.6 million steps.
I don't think I
How
could
long
do
do you think it would take you? 2.6 million steps.
2.6 million steps.
We're going to find out here at the Contagion Effect Show.
Yeah, but I have a feeling our guest is in much better shape than either one of us.
He's probably two of us.
Well,
wait.
Not
it
that
probably
way.
Takes two
He's
of
probably
him.
half of us.
There
you go.
And then X. Hold on, 1, 7. Carry the 2.
Use your toes. Use your toes if you need.
Hey, my green leprechaun would like to say hello to you in blue, and then he'd like to say in red and white because we're all inclusive.
So
the red, white, and the blue.
Everybody's been wondering. Green, when you're using green screen on your clothing, it makes it transparent. So
I should go get the sheet.
Just FYI.
I should go get the sheet.
Yeah.
Well, Brian Roof was actually on my TikTok live. We went a little TikTok live earlier, and we were driving down the Altamont.
So he would have seen how many Red Bulls you had. What's up, Donald?
Double D.
Thank you for joining us.
Racking fellers.
So what did you do? What made this week so great? Or you just...
You know what? It's just,
BSing.
You got to find the positivity because if someone's always negative...
BS.
I'm looking at you, pal.
I know who you're looking at.
I'm looking at you, pal.
I know who you're looking at.
If you're always negative, you're going to get negativity. If you're positive, I'm positive that you'll be positive and you'll bring positivity into your life.
I'm positive. I try to start positive every day, but I'm also positive.
Yeah, bro, but your job sucks. And I admit that your job sucks.
The negativity.
But the positive part is you're making money.
He got his nose waxed.
Bro, was that not awesome or what?
You guys didn't even get to see the fingernail painting or any of that. So, I
have a tutu also. Mama AnJEllak, greetings and salutations. Thank you
for joining us,
for giving birth to this human over here. He is
the
negative awesome guy. Love this man. And thank you, Mama AnJEllak. You rock.
Yeah.
You're
fun.
Rock.
All right, let's get some Gary real quick.
Do you dread having to do your taxes? Does the mere thought of it make your head spin? Miller's Mobile Tax Service is here for you. We will handle your individual or business taxes. We will come to you to prepare your taxes. We are skilled, professional, and ready to get started for you. Call 209-678-8515.
Thank you, Gary. We always appreciate Gary Miller up here in the Contagion Effect Show. Always. What did Brian Roof say? Positive feeling equals positive results. You are right. until the people around you are all negative, and then it brings you down.
But you can change that because that's what we do here.
Is that what we do here?
That's what we do here at the Green. Hey, I'm live on TikTok right now, but
Are you?
I need to find the fancy thing where they can input the audio into that. We'll have to figure that out one day.
Input our audio into TikTok.
If you take the average foot size, length of stride, and average most Americans, it would take 416 hours. Of course, the mathematician guru would have a number.
He just can't spell. It's all good. He's good at math. Just messing with you, Gary. Length of stride and average health of most Americans, it would take 416 and 3/4 hours to walk 2.5 million steps.
Well,
what is 416 hours divided by
24? You're looking at like,
come on, do it in your head. I'll be absolutely
16.
amazed. Let's see. 17.
Thank you.
Not bad, buddy.
Not bad for Modesto City Schools education. Whoop, whoop.
No, Tonto, I got to go back and fix it.
He likes the sound. He didn't say anything about your voice sucks.
No, the voice.
Your voice sounds like crap.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate.
Although it's a great ad, and we appreciate
the positivity.
But I'm positive your voice sucks on it. But I love the ad, and thanks for the support.
Well, I hate
Gary
my
Miller
voice overall, so thank you for that. I appreciate that. Apparently, you need a sound box.
Sound box. All right.
You'll have to look that up.
I'll Google that.
You'll Google that. All right.
Google those.
All right. Well, I'm ready to get going.
Yeah. So we're just gonna jump right to it. So
no, we're not. We're gonna jump.
We're gonna jump right to Scotty Hastings.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, the times and places they may change, but one thing stays the same. The stories that they tell about going through hell. If you think they wouldn't do it all over again, well, you just don't know them. The memories that they own of the ones who didn't make it home, yeah, sure do miss them, but they keep them all living in the stories that they tell.
And we got a new story today, so I'm excited.
Ladies and gentlemen,
boys
welcome
and girls,
to the Contagion Effect Show, where we bring you people that walk a lot of steps. Why would he walk
so many steps
from Sanford, North Carolina to Austin, Texas, and document it throughout for all the entire world to see? It's because he's raising funds to help disabled veterans with no charge, right? I'm gonna have a link. I'm going to have we're gonna scroll through some things on his TikTok and for his page. Him being Jason Rhodes of RenoVet Mission. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
What's up, Jason? Welcome to the Contagion.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Dude, that is a great deal, man. You know, we saw you on another podcast, Brian Roof. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, every day is a Saturday. Thank you, sir. I was scrolling through and I see him talking to you, and this dude's walking from freaking North Carolina, which is a great state, and walks all the way to Austin, Texas, which is another cool state in the union here. And I thought, I'm like, well, why is he doing it? Like,
is it Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
No running.
No running. He
no
just
running.
I got like a lot of questions because I'm like, you know, like, what was the hardest part? What was the scariest part? What was this part? But first, we would like to find out.
Go away,
but we'd like to find out where Jason Rhodes grew up, went to school, and why you became a veteran.
Well, I grew up in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, right on the coast. Grew up surfing, diving. My dad was an underwater bridge inspector, so that's where we moved. You know, just going through life. And he was in the Army, Vietnam era, 82nd Airborne. So it just kind of came natural, I guess, to get, you know, into the service, you know. So I was 17 years old. I'd gotten into a lot of trouble and got out of jail and walked my ass again, walking 3 miles to the to the recruiter's office, and the only ones that would take me were the Navy. So I quit
Really?
school. Yep, quit school.
Why?
Got my GED. When I walked in, the first office on the right, which was my goal to begin with, was the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
I guess they were going through changes in the late '90s, where they weren't, dealing with too many people with criminal records, and I had just been put on a 1.5-year probation, and he pretty much told me to get out. So I continued on to the Army, and he told me the same thing. And I went to the Air Force. They said the same thing. And the last room was the Navy, and he said, "I'll have you out of here by your 17th birthday." I said, "Let's do it." So he knew the judge pretty well, and
You're
got
such a
me.
badass that they freaking said no, man. Like
That's
you're too
crazy
big of
that
a
the
guy.
Navy-
It was something ass, but I think it was dumbass. I don't think it was bad. But yeah. So the recruiter knew the judge really well. I had to pay off my restitution of $5,500, and the judge let me off of probation. And 17 years old, I was shipped off to boot camp from Raleigh, MEPS, and the RDU airport, and left in board shorts, flip flops, and a tank top, and found my ass in Chicago, which was not where I thought I was going. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you? Everybody in the Navy goes to Chicago.
Well, I'd heard there was a base in California, which happened to be where I bought my first house. Was where they leveled out off of Rosecrans. I think it was Rosecrans. They had leveled the whole base and built military housing there, or not military housing, but that's where most people, in the military, in the Navy, they were stationed in 32nd Street Naval Base, bought houses. That's where I bought my first house. So, but yeah, I was thinking I might luck up and just go to boot camp in San Diego, but it wasn't there. So I was in the Windy City and freezing cold in flip flops and board shorts because it's still nice in North Carolina in November. So,
that description screams Navy.
Yeah, right. I mean, geez.
But that I'm still kind of laughing at the fact that the Navy. Well, I guess since he knew the judge or whatever,
and they probably were missing quota something. I don't know. It was crazy. I'll tell you. I say crazy. It's not a funny part of it, but his son and I, after I got my recruiter's son and I became pretty good friends. We went to church together when I got home, and his son was actually involved in a drinking and driving accident and passed away. It was just kind of weird how our paths met that way too, because I didn't know that was his dad until the day of the funeral.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, real quick, if you use ironic, I've learned the hard way. Hey, I got a funny story. Well, it's not really funny. The guy dies, but it's kind of ironic to the situation.
Yeah. It's a situation.
Yeah.
It happened.
Situation. I mean, there's a funny story, but
So, that's pretty much, I wanted to go into service, and I had an opportunity to go into the Navy, and I took advantage of it. Tried my hand at buds, and DOR'd out of that, and went straight to a boat, and I was a gunner's mate, and that's what I did. I worked on guns on a destroyer, 2 different destroyers. So
which ones?
The USS Elliott and the USS Fletcher. We decommissioned both of them. So
after you got off of them?
Well, we took both of them on their last deployments. Decommed the Elliott, and then we actually flew over the Perth, Australia, as the Fletcher was coming back from its second to last deployment, and then we did a duty swap in Perth, and then took it on its last one, brought it back, and decommissioned it. So we were in the middle of decommissioning it during my EOS, my end of service obligation, or end of obligated service. So yeah.
With you working on the guns, did you have to basically disassemble them too as part of that process, or they leave them?
Yeah, so when I first got to the Elliott, I was actually stationed as a missile tech, which was with the vertical launching system, the Tomahawks. I don't know if you've ever seen them on the front of the employers. Gunners mates don't, guns guys and missile techs kind of have they kind of clash a little bit. You're not a real gunner's mate, but later on in my military career, I should say, I swapped over to guns because they had a position open for a second class petty officer. So I actually did get to work on the 5-inch gun mount as well as small arms. So yeah, we disassembled, cleaned, repaired 50 cals, 9mm. The Beretta was back then the Mossberg shotgun, and we actually had the good old M14s on our boats. So
you had to deal with all the small arms too, not just the big.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yep. And then that kind of led me into obviously my love for guns, I became a line captain, helping people qual with their pistols and shotgun and rifle calls and 50 cal calls, stuff like that too. So,
oh, nice. That's cool. So, how long were you in?
6 years, from 98 to 04, from November of 98 to November of 04.
Okay.
So,
what made you decide that this was it?
I can say that between 99 and 2000, there was a lot of changes that happened that were coming down through the pipeline. And I know me. I think they were trying to get us where we couldn't cuss, we couldn't smoke. I was like, this is the Navy, man. Like, you cuss like a sailor's a thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'm supposed
literally
to.
a whole.
Yeah. So it just, a lot of changes were happening, and then I had lost a buddy of mine while I was in, and it was just time. I was going through a divorce at the same time, at my EOS was up, and I was like, you know what, I think I just want to go home for a little bit. I think I want to go home and try to regroup and do something different. You know what I mean? So
did you do the whole Navy thing and got married right when you got in?
Yeah, against my dad's better judgment.
What is it about the Navy? That's all you hear is everybody in the Navy,
God.
like they instantly come
idiots.
out of boot camp training and boom, hey,
Yep.
let's get married.
100%. That's exactly what happened. Married the girl I dated in high school, and wound up not working out. And then even after I came home, we tried to work it back out again, and it just, for about a year, and just didn't happen. So there's I think they have a divorce rate for guys in the Navy. It's like 85%. So
oh yeah, I think we talked about it with Dad Bod Veteran. It's super duper high.
Yeah,
like the marriage rate's super high, and then the divorce rate is super high.
Well, they even have a club in San Diego, and I don't know if I can talk about it. I don't know if it's taboo, but I've been out for long enough. I really don't give a shit. But it's called the Westpac Widows. Like when your guys go on Westpac, their wives go to this bar to pick up boyfriends for, 9, 10, 11 months. So I was
wow.
Wow.
So,
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of
Spit it out.
Go ahead.
The beagle, the regal beagle.
Oh, the regal
beagle.
There's Brian who's waiting for that damn semen.
Damn semen. I'm telling you.
Semen joke.
It's funny because I look at everything now and I'm thinking, I'm 41. I probably would have still been in if I had decided to stay in for a career. And then I see this damn new recruitment video they got coming out with, and I'm thinking, man, I can't wait for all the "I told you so" jokes to come out.
Like, making their own bed with that, huh?
Yeah, we've been fighting that stereotype for hundreds of years, and they just fucked it all.
That's why Aiden is absolute. My son is looking at, the Navy was recruiting him hard, and now he's like, yeah, it's Air Force or Marines only.
Yeah, man. It's generational differences too. There's a lot of things that, the generations that have come up, and that was another reason that I got out, was I seen all the senior chiefs and master chiefs that had been in for 20 plus years. They were getting out. So we had nobody to carry on the traditions, I was only around for, a year with some of these guys, but I didn't get to get all the knowledge from them I could get, so there was no way I could carry it on. And then I seen the new class of chiefs that were coming up, and I was like,
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. So
what's up, Mr. Steiner? Welcome to the show. Hey, so while you were in, did you deploy?
Yeah, we went on 3 Westpacs, all 3 pretty much Bahrain, off the Gulf Coast, yeah, that's pretty much all 3 of my deployments were there. And then when we were stateside, we actually did a lot of drug interdiction with the VBSS team. Like anytime we had to take our boat out for workups or ops or, any type of training, a couple days a month, we would do visit board search and seizures on, we'd have to take a Coast Guard captain, fly a Coast Guard flag because Navy doesn't have jurisdiction in international waters.
Right.
And any suspected boats that were coming up the coast with drugs, we had 2 VBSS teams of 12 guys that the first initial team would board, and pretty much, search the ship, detain anybody on it, and then the second team would come in and do the search and seizure of anything we found. So
anything cool?
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot. We've done a couple dozen of these, and I'd say out of a couple dozen, probably half a dozen times, we've come up with tons of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
And
this
it was a running.
West Coast?
What's that?
This was on the West Coast?
Yeah, this is off of San Diego at 32nd Street, Naval Base. Well, it's funny, me and a buddy of mine that was from Anaheim, we did a bust one time, and I was like, man, your mom's house ain't that far from here. We could retire at like 19, dude.
Little for you, a lot for them. Little for you.
I didn't hear this story. I didn't hear this story.
So, but obviously we never did because I'm still broke. But but
I resemble
that. Yeah.
So when you're in Bahrain and off the coast there, did you ever were you running the Tomahawks at that point?
Yeah, so we did the initial strike on Baghdad off of our boats, which was kind of cool. We would run up to the bridge and watch them fire off, and then we were close enough to have satellites, so we would run down to Berthen and watch CNN like little kids, like boop boop boop, like what's up? Yeah, we were kids. We didn't understand what was going on. We were thinking that was our job. Yeah. And but yeah, so and that was really the only major involvement in anything that we ever had, was our fleet was actually responsible for launching Tomahawks on Baghdad. But
so you were part of the shock and awe.
Yeah, yep, 100%. So
that's cool.
It was it was at the time, and then when you look back now, you're thinking, damn, man, like that's war's rough, man. So.
No, for sure. And obviously it wears on people, as we've learned, and it definitely does stuff. So 2001, where were you?
Oh, we were pretty much Bahrain, pretty much off in the Gulf. Yeah. I mean, that's where we did our shock and awe from, was in 2001.
Okay. So when the towers got hit,
so, well, no, I guess it would have been 2002, 2001. I was just pretty much stationed in San Diego on the USS Elliott. They just, when I arrived at the boat, or the ship, excuse me, there'll be some people that talk about that. But when I arrived to the ship, they had just came off of their deployment. So we were doing, everything was being kind of like not really a debrief, but everybody was coming back. Everybody just been back for about a month or two. So my first deployment was probably a year after I got to the ship. So,
okay.
So
nice. Well, I mean, you did some time, right? You went to Bahrain. Tomahawks, part of the shock and awe.
Yeah.
And then it was time to get out. So did you have, with everything was happening, obviously you're going through a divorce. Did you have a plan when you got out, or did you just say, let's see what happens?
So when I came home, I really didn't have a plan. Everything was pretty much, when I came home, I found out that I guess my mom's new husband, my stepfather, had passed away when I went into boot camp. That he had worked for an apartment maintenance company, like a property management company.
Right.
So I went, filled out an application and started doing groundskeeping, just picking up trash with a trash picker upper and a bucket, and for $11.64 an hour. And it was
to look back on that stuff and go, what the hell? And now these people are whining about, all these.
Well, it was I don't know how to say it, very very peaceful. You felt like, all I got to do, and I mean, I had the cleanest property in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's all I had to do was pick up trash, man. I was like, that's all I got to do. And I don't have to chip paint. I don't have to, paint launchers and things like that. It was, I don't have, people yelling at me because I get a tattoo or something, like I can do whatever I want now, so it was a culture shock. It really was, because, the way I grew up, my stepfather kind of raised it like it was he was like a drill sergeant, and then I went straight into the military. So until I was 24 years old, that was all I knew. So when I came back, it was time to take care of myself. And like I said, that was a culture shock, but it was a good culture shock. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was being like I didn't feel not at ease. You know what I mean? I felt pretty at ease with my job, what I was doing, what I was getting into. And learned a lot about everything I needed to do. Within 6 months, became a a maintenance technician, where people move out of apartments. I go in and turn them or make ready for the new people moving in. And then a few months later, I went and got my HVAC cert, started doing, became a maintenance engineer. And then within a year and a half, I was a maintenance supervisor on my own property,
Nice.
learning about budgets and dumb stuff like that. So, but
You're like, I just want to work with my hands. I don't care
Yeah.
about none of these other numbers.
yeah, well, and while I was in, I did do college courses and went ahead and got an associate's degree in hydraulics, pneumatics, and electronics. Because I didn't have a plan when I came home, but I thought, I knew that the Caterpillar plant was right up the street from where I, was living at the time when I enlisted, which was Clayton, North Carolina. And I was like, man, if all else fails, I'll just go there. And as soon as I came in, Caterpillar went bankrupt. I was like, oh my God. So, I was like, here we go. I got to start it. So that's why I say I really didn't have a plan, just kind of had a backup plan, but my backup plan failed without a plan. So I just went with, plan D or E or whatever letter comes next. But it was, it worked out pretty good for me, man. I wound up moving up and up the ladder, as you say, and up until 2019, I stayed with that company off and on because when they sell properties, we'd have to, they'd let us go, and they bring it back when they get a new one, And I stayed with the same company or the same people. They went and bought a different company later, and stayed with them up until 2019. So
nice. Now, when you were going through this transition, how were you mentally? I mean, you said that picking up the garbage was kind of like, it was kind of, I don't know if surreal is the right word, but kind of calming.
It is, the transition. I guess I'd have to look at it from a few different points of view. Professionally, the transition was good for me. It gave me something that I didn't have a whole lot of responsibility for, but it gave me something that I could still take pride in doing it, if that makes sense.
No,
so absolutely. It kind of gave me that kind of aspect of it. Now, on the personal level, I was a freaking wreck, man. My whole life was shit. I was going, I'd been through a divorce, you come home and you're like, I need to find a girlfriend now, 'cause that's the Navy mentality. Let's find another relationship, and 24 young man, just filled with rage all the way through my young age, and it's just kind of carried over, which led to a lot of drinking. Wound up getting an apartment where I was working for 50% off of the rate, so that helped me save money for drinking. But
he found the positive in it right there.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm able to save money. I can get drunker, more drunk. But
whatever word you want to use.
Hey, man. So I can't really say that. A lot of stuff while I was in is what led to drinking. A lot of my stuff really came from my personal stuff that was going on.
Right.
We weren't over there kicking in doors and stuff like that. Like some of these guys were, man, that are a lot more hardcore than some of us were. You know what I mean? So, but it just, my personal stuff kind of got in the way of me a little bit. Because then, as you move through the corporate ladder, if you will. Once you get into a management position, there's nowhere else to go except, regional director. And, everybody aspires to be that, but the guy that just made that the year before is planning on retiring from that in 20 years. So now I'll be, old.
You'll be sitting there waiting.
Yeah. But it's, like I said, it got, the personal part of it was hell, but, professionally, I felt like I was where I needed to be, like you said, it got me around with
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. So, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just gonna say. So from there, is it the transition into RenoVet and the nonprofit?
So the company that I was with, I had started to. What I was trying to do is I had built a 5-year kind of plan that I was going to start a nonprofit that did renovations, repairs, retrofits, and remodels for disabled veterans. And I guess in the midst of me trying to start this, I went ahead and stood up a corporation. I, filed for my, corporate paperwork, like insurance, everything. And the company I was working for thought that I was trying to take work from them And I was like, whoa. So it became a huge issue, which inevitably led to my termination. So, yeah. So, which, and because, in the state of North Carolina, I had to file for a corporation before I can file to change it to a 501c3.
Right.
So when I stood up as a corporation, they thought I was going after profit. I was like, no, this is part of my 5-year plan. I have to stay as a 501c or as a corporation for a period of time before I go nonprofit.
Yeah.
They weren't having that. So they let me go, and I just kept it as a corporation and then started running it as a profitable business at first. And then once I kind of got in with a few bigger contractors and got some big contracts, I wound up actually started taking profits and rolling it over into what I wanted to do on the nonprofit side.
Right.
So I would take our profits from RenoVet Incorporated and start doing, handicap ramps or, bathroom remodels or kitchen remodels or any type of repair that needed to be done on a veteran's house, whether it be, water heater replacement or siding repair or, windows being replaced, anything that they needed, even right down to light bulbs being changed if they called and needed it, so that's where every bit of, I say about 85% of my profit from my profitable business has been going for the past 3 years up until the beginning of this year when I actually filed for my 501c3.
Let me bring that up for you real quick, and we'll share a little bit about. This is your website here.
Yes, sir.
Your TikTok plastered on it, and I can't seem to get it stopped because I want to pause it right there before you step on your phone. But sorry, I'll hang on. Sorry.
As Eric clears his voice.
Man, sorry about that. Yeah, I want to go over here.
We're fancy over here.
You did get a donation from the Contagion Effect there 17 minutes ago for your GoFundMe. I do have your link for that on your GoFundMe account. If you guys want to check it out, here's this TikTok is renovet.np on TikTok. Check that out. And if you want to check out the website, it's renovet.org. And we'll have all the links plastered on there too. And here's your GoFundMe there.
Thank you.
So,
go absolutely. Yeah. Look at that, right? Timing on the video too. I don't think you could have planned that, Eric.
I've been working my ass off.
Eric's all of a sudden he's the you're sweating because you got a cough and all that.
Hey, Frank Contreras, thanks for checking in, buddy.
Yeah. So,
buddy,
I'm interested in. So, North Carolina, you have to get incorporated.
Yeah. So you had
before you even get your 501.
So I don't know the exact time on it, but I wanted to do it for a year. I don't think it's a year. Yeah. But like I said, I had a 5-year goal. I said, well, I'll go ahead and stand it up. I'm not going to do anything with the business, because I had a job, and I'm just going to work on like my marketing, my my logo, just little things that just stretch it out over the course of a year, to give myself some time and like branding, if you will, you know what I mean? And it just kind of once I stood up the corporation, I was like, well, I'll let it do this for 365 days. That'll be enough time. And it'll also allow me to open up bank accounts and file for my tax ID number and things like that, because I have to have all of those things in place before I file as a 501c3. And I actually had a company that I actually hired to do the transition for me from a corporation to a 501c3 nonprofit. So because I didn't, everybody keeps telling me I need to like look at grants and file paperwork for this, and I'm like, that should be written in crayon with coffee stains all over it.
There's so many things, and when you look, I would try to stick to veterans resources if you start doing that, because first off, there's some help you can get with it, and second off, it's a lot more trustworthy because you start going online and looking for that stuff, and it's craziness. And I know because we've been working with Tom from Every Second Counts, and he just got his nonprofit kind of started, and he could do it in Arkansas. He could have the nonprofit, but the 501, obviously you got to set up a federal and but there's no time limit. That's why in California I've done a couple, and we haven't had to do that either. So that's why I was asking.
Well, and that's where, like, because I was trying to look at like different states too, because I didn't know that I wanted to be necessarily in North Carolina. And I think different states are different because everything that I had to file was through the Secretary of State. You know what I mean? So,
but then you have your federal. So once you have your federal, now every donation throughout the country is tax. You know, it can be tax deductible.
I gotta show.
And that's where, like, this year was kind of like my year to try to, because I have to find board members and things like that. And I know that people can hold multiple positions, but my kind of, and once we get into talking about the actual walk, that was kind of one of my personal goals for that, is to try to seek out a CFO, seek out, a COO and things like of that nature to kind of help me get this thing going for the beginning of 2024. That's my goal. Okay. So,
well, and maybe somebody listening here would be, interested in helping out as well.
It's
got to understand, it's not paying jobs. This is a non-profit.
That's right. Yeah, because I get up and go to work every day, man. so it's that's another thing too, is like when it comes to like the grants and things like that, is if that's the route that whenever we come together as a board we decide on, then I'm going to need somebody who knows how to do those things, because that is beyond that. And if I'm going to have somebody in play that can do those things, then that would be great. We know
an amazing tax guy that he can help you from anywhere in the country. So
what's his name?
That would be Gary Miller, Miller's Mobile Tax
Service. We got a guy. We know a guy.
We know a guy. So
I know a fellow.
And he's a veteran.
And he's a veteran.
He's a Marine Corps veteran. So
that's awesome.
He'll go learn all the tax code in your state, and if he doesn't already know it, I mean, the guy's smart as hell. He was the one that wrote that whole comment about how long it would take. So
well, he's a little bit off.
Well, yeah, according to the way you did it, right?
So in the 24-hour thing's taking 17 days. Remember, you can't walk 24 hours a day. No. You got to sleep. You got to eat. You got to shit.
Right. You got to take some breaks at some point.
That's right. At least an hour a day.
Right.
So you're saying that you didn't do that all in one day?
Hell no.
Look, it says just 17 days, 12 hours.
Bro, it's only that far.
Come on.
Zoom out.
Slacker.
Oh man! I tell you, if I was taller, it might have worked. But so it's that's the route.
So I mean, I want to jump into it because I'm like, are there pathways or what? I mean, did you pave?
Well, let's start at the very beginning first.
Okay.
I know you want to know the pathways and how I know, but you gotta start somewhere. Tyler, you gotta start.
Taylor?
Yeah, you were naming the shoes.
Tyler.
So, Jason, what we know about the walk. We started talking about it a little bit there. What made you decide to do this walk, and why from North Carolina to Texas?
So there's a few reasons as to the why. And the number one reason is I'm very faith based, and 4:00 in the morning, Christmas Eve morning, not Christmas morning, the 24th. I woke up and I don't want to say I heard it, but I felt it, or it was a thought, but I just heard walk. And I had some stuff that had been going on personally for me. And one of them was, I just got involved in a self-defense shooting in July. The other thing that kind of, I was in a very toxic kind of relationship, no domestic violence or anything, just not a very healthy relationship. Right. And then the other thing, so when I heard the word walk, it was like, okay, I'm going to walk away from this relationship. I'm going to walk a little bit more with God, and I'm going to plan a walk. I'm going to cover my ass on this one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just do one
everything he could be talking about.
Anything you could be talking about. And then I make the joke, I probably could have done a 5K in my hometown and called it good, but I'm an overachiever, so a little bit, but only that much further. But but you know, so and the one thing that I kind of pieced together is for the past 3 years, you know, like I said, we've been doing these renovations and repairs for disabled veterans, but we've really targeted, I say targeted, but military, law enforcement, and first responders. Now, to kind of backtrack to July when I got involved in the self-defense shooting, you know, I seen firsthand the first responders, the police officers, the fire department, the EMTs that all showed up to that. And it really made everything click for me that these guys see violence on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if anybody needs our help as much as military, it would be all of our first responders. And so that really clicked something for me. And so when it came time to walk, you know, I was dealing with some stuff, you know, in military, you know, you do some things, you can see some things and stuff like that. But I tell people, when you get involved in a self-defense situation, it's a whole different, it's not there's no time to pump yourselves up and your buddies up to get ready to go do something.
Right.
It's holy
happening.
shit, this is happening, react. And before you know it, it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there possibly facing repercussions for your actions. And actually today I got a call from the police department that said that the DA was 100% dropped or is dismissing everything for me to come retrieve my firearm and all of my belongings that they took from me that day.
I wasn't sure if we could ask more on this, if there was still something going with it, or
there's, as of right now, so evidently in this state, and I asked the question, why would you keep my personal belongings if there was no crime committed?
right.
And then like, well, it's a firearm, there's certain policy and procedures, and you know what, I understand. So
Right.
I just have to go down, sign my paperwork, and retrieve. You know, it'll be probably a few months before I get my firearm back, but I can get my knife, my holster, my magazines, my ammo, you know, everything that it took off me that day.
So is North Carolina, is that it's not open carry, right? It
is an open carry. It is an open carry state, but you know, I have my concealed carry. So if you have a concealed carry permit, then you can carry concealed. So after that whole situation for the next, you know, couple months, things just weren't going really good mentally for me.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not a choice you want to make.
Right.
No,
right.
it's not, you know, and you know, you hear people, oh, if somebody did this, I would do this. And, you know, and even in my own mind, I thought for the next probably month, 100 times out of 100, I'd have done the same thing. But I can't even say that because I've only been in it once and only had to do it once. I can't say what I would do the other 99 times, you know. But I will say that, you know, that and I'm not saying that I wouldn't have reacted. I just can't say that I would have reacted the exact way I did. You know, and which 100% was, you know, everything was caught on film. You know, so that was good for me. You know, because my statement matched the video 100%. Thank goodness.
Good. Yeah.
And then the other person involved, you know, convicted felon, had over 150 rounds with him, you know, pointing a firearm at the girl I was dating at a time, like right in her face. And, you know, I seen it and was like, you know, it's time to go to work, you know. And you know, and I train, you know, I have, you know, having my own business. I had guys that were working, you know, we were making good money. Everything was going good, you know. And so I was at the gun range 4 or 5 days a week, you know, and that's all I did was shoot, you know, a lot. And I think God that I was able to train that much. I mean, maybe I was just in the right place at the right time, you know. So
did you have the insurance?
Literally, again, still hadn't learned from being 17, a dumbass. 2 days after the shooting, I went ahead and got the carry insurance.
Did you get USACA?
Yeah, it's USA or something, or Texas or something that offered that. I can't remember who offered it. I just know that I was given a card. I called the number, paid the $250 or $300 or whatever it was, like a few days later.
They literally give you a card too that says,
Yep.
say this. The minute you're done, say this.
Yeah, and then they say, and then call here.
Yep, exactly.
You know, and you know, because I made my initial statement that day.
Yeah.
I went, they I was never arrested. I was never read any rights. They detained me, took me to the annex, and asked me if I wanted to speak on it. I said, I'll give you my initial statement because it's fresh.
Right.
And I told them exactly what I seen, exactly what I did, and exactly what he did, and everything that led up to it. And and then the next day I was in a lawyer's office slapping $10,000 on the desk for a retainer fee, and that.
See, that's where
it
helps.
Yeah, it would have helped out a lot, and I will say this, the lawyers that I got were really good, that I retained were really good. But I think January 17th, they wound up giving me, over half of it back,
Nice.
saying they didn't think it was going anywhere, that was kind of a relief.
Yeah.
But, since I was leaving in February, and but when I got back, it was still kind of looming because, in the state of North Carolina, the only crime that they could have got me for was second-degree murder. And there's no statute of limitations on that. So I was told that the DA could put that in a filing cabinet, and 50 years later, they could open it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I understand if you don't have the person who committed the crime, but I called the cops. I turned myself in. I don't understand it. So to hear that news today was a huge relief for me. This was July 23rd of last year. So it's been almost a year that this thing has been kind of just sitting, so to hear that today was a very good.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congratulations that it prevailed, right?
We'd had to do this from a whole different setting. I'll tell you right now, in our state, in our county, we'd probably be all right. But in our state, if I was down in a different county or over in the Bay,
wouldn't be in effect anymore.
I would probably be arrested.
Because that was one of the reasons that I retained a lawyer, was because so many people had told me, and even North Carolina I think North Carolina and California probably have a lot in common, because I was told if I was 2.5 miles before that up the street, it would have been no problem. And because I was in a different county, which is Cumberland, which is Fayetteville, which is, a pretty liberal area from what I've been told, and especially given the situation of the two different demographics that were involved, I was told that would,
perfectly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
That's beautifully.
Right over that perfectly.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get
sorry.
let's get
No.
no.
Remember what we talked about before. This is your show. This is what happens. Right?
It is. But I do want to make sure we don't get we got to talk about the walk, right?
So
Absolutely.
We've gone around it, and Eric's gonna not go around. He's gonna go around it again.
Well, I have a clip here. Can I show the clip?
No. Yes.
I have express written consent from KVUE TV, and the author was Matt Fernandez.
Yep.
It was an interview that you did, and I just wanted to show a little clip of it.
You do have consent?
I have consent.
Okay.
Matt's awesome.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Maybe.
If we don't get an ad first.
You
should have played it through the ad, buddy. Got to teach you.
We're learning.
It's all good. It's all good.
And the buffer.
which is stupid because it should be playing right away.
The news at 6. A Navy veteran is walking 1,400 miles from North Carolina to Austin.
He's doing it to bring awareness to mental health issues. He has a goal to raise money to build facilities in each state he walks through, including Texas. KVU's Matt Fernandez caught up with him on his journey.
To help spread that mental health awareness within the communities for veterans, military.
This is Navy veteran Jason Rhodes. He's on a 1,400-mile journey from Sanford, North Carolina to Austin, Texas. He's currently in North Carolina. He's 13 days in and walked more than 100 miles so far.
How are your legs feeling right now, man?
First couple of days, like I said, they were on fire. They were. I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done?
but kind of push through some things.
Rhodes runs a business called RenoVet, where he does renovations for apartments and other places. Says the majority of his profits goes towards helping veterans. He does renovations for free and helps them any way he can. With this walk, he's hoping to even raise more money and do what he can to help them.
I have facilities in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina, the states that I'm walking through, hopefully within the next 10 years.
At these new facilities, he will teach the veterans woodworking skills.
Schedule out courses where we teach something one week, something the next week, or, these guys can maybe even come in if they're disabled and make some woodworking projects and maybe start selling some of this stuff, for themselves.
He says this can really give veterans a sense of pride and a morale boost, helping them with their mental health. Says he would also like to see psychiatrists volunteer and meet with the vets at the facility. Through his journey so far, Rhodes says he's thankful for fire stations allowing him to take showers and stay there. He hopes to arrive in Austin sometime in April.
To give back to some of these guys that sacrificed and made an ultimate sacrifice, man, that means the world to me, to be able to do things for these guys.
Matt Fernandez, KVU News.
That's awesome. And again, thank you, Matt Fernandez, for allowing us to use your video. Appreciate you, KVUE, ABC affiliate. I forgot where it was, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So Jason, with that, we know the story of why. So take us through, man. Obviously, you said the first couple of days you were going, oh, did I make a mistake?
Yeah, okay, so Austin was chosen because I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. That's the reason that destination was chosen.
Sorry, we're not good enough. I get it.
No. It's well, and I'd never even really 100% thought everything through to get on as many podcasts as I could. Yeah. This was just me thinking, what can I do to get our name out there, what we're trying to do. Right. And, so I chose there, and I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan anyway, just, for everything he's done. But anyway, that was the reason that Austin was kind of chosen in my mind. I was like, if I make a trip of this stature, maybe he'll look at it and say, damn, that's all right. Yeah. All right. We'll talk to this guy, right. So that was why I was chosen. But yeah, so to kind of start on February 15th, I had a guy that was supposed to be driving my truck and pulling a camper that I was supposed to be sleeping in. So I was just going to walk. Well, 2 days before I left, he decided he was not going to do that. So I had to load up a ruck and actually ruck this whole thing. And I hadn't trained for that. So the first couple of days were rough. So
you had nothing else. This was just you.
It was just me and a backpack, which was my Mystery Ranch 32-liter pack, a sleeping bag, a tarp, a way to cook, like a nesting cup with a thermos, like a canteen in it. Right. Everything was titanium, so it was easy to boil water for oatmeal or ramen, whatever I was taking, and pretty much some snacks, and always had a lot of water. And when I first left, I'm from the mindset 2 is 1, 1 is none. So I was taking 2 multi-tools, like 4 pocket knives, like, I was going to leave with 2 guns. I was like, I got to be prepared for the zombie apocalypse, But right. after the second day in, everything that I wasn't using, I called the guy one of the guys that worked for me. I said 2 things. Bring me a pair of good tennis shoes, of my good running shoes, and a different pair of pants. I said, come get half this fucking gear, because I'm not taking all this shit with me. So I wound up leaving. I think I weighed in at like 165 with nothing, and I was at 207 or 209 fully loaded. So I was right at about 50 pounds of gear, a little bit more, and I wound up dumping almost, ounces does equal pound, but so I wound up dumping a lot of things, and actually left stashes, kind of like caches, the whole way, because people were starting to give me things like challenge coins and Bibles, and I was like, the Bible, this is heavy, I don't know what and I had a pocket Bible, so everybody's like, here, take this Bible, and I'm like, I already got one. Rude. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be rude, like, screw your word of God. My word of God's better, about 2 weeks in is when I got up with Matt. And I think I was in Wilkesboro when he called. It was raining. I had started to not really get sick, but just kind of going hoarse from being out in the rain and out in the weather and the elements, and it was really nice when I left. It was like 75 degrees, but it was not nice when I got to Wilkesboro. Temperature started to drop, started to get a little bit higher in elevation. Yeah, I am a sinner, but so that was, but after about 2 weeks, I started to kind of really, my back stopped hurting, my lower back stopped hurting a lot. My legs stopped hurting, all the time. But then I got an infection in my right foot from a blister, that had opened up. So, so when I got into Tennessee, about 2 weeks later, I had a friend of mine on social media, and she was like, if you don't get your ass to the hospital in the next couple of hours or get rid of that thing, you're going to be in the ER in a couple hours. And I was like, well, so I'm at a Walgreens looking like a crackhead with a pocket knife and my shoe off, slicing stuff open and draining stuff, dumping alcohol on it and putting moleskin. And I'm like, oh my God. But yeah,
that fire departments, you figured they could have helped you out.
Man, well, at first I was like, because I had rolled my ankle, so I thought that the pain in my foot was from rolling my ankle, but it wasn't. It was actually from the infection. It was bad. Like I took a picture of it and sent it to the friend of mine on social media, and she was like, "Hey, that shit ain't right."
Don't share that with anybody else.
Yeah. But after that, I was still in like Under Armour tennis shoes. And then I came down through Morristown, which I had been talking to a company called Altama Boots. And they had gotten up with me, and they're a pretty good military contract. They have good military contracts and stuff and police departments. But I actually, they asked me to come in. I came in, and they actually donated a pair of $350 Gore-Tex boots for me to wear. And at first I was kind of like, shit, I don't want to be wearing boots. This whole trip,
right?
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, and this isn't me trying to market for them, but there was no break-in period on these things. Like as soon as I put them on my feet, I was like, these motherfuckers are nice, like really nice. And well, the cool thing about it was I got them as it was getting cold, so they actually helped keep me warm too.
Right. What was the name of them again?
Altama is the name of them. So they actually sell like the Chuck Taylor looking shoe, or that has like black multicam tiger stripes. So I've been rocking them things for
Jungle Boots?
Probably 3 or 4 years, but they actually bought out the original footwear company, which is like the SWAT boot or whatever it was. So
I see.
Nice.
And they're a great company, man. And they brought me in, they took care of me, fed me breakfast, gave me coffee.
Oh, that's cool.
A bunch of morale patches, which I had to leave in one of my cases that I left, along the way, because I was like, man, it's taking up too much room.
Drive back and pick up all that stuff.
I actually am. As soon as I've got like I said, I've been working since I've been back. As soon as I get as soon as I get about a week off, I'm gonna take off and do the whole trip in my truck again. Stop and see everybody.
Let us know when you do that.
I will, man. I might even shoot over to Cali and just see you guys and Brian, man. Just say, hey, man, just come on by.
You've heard about Hero Stock, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to herostock.org. If you go to herostock.org, it's basically
I gave him too much power by
it's
teaching him how
basically
to do
a backyard barbecue sponsored by veterans for veterans.
Jason.
September 9th, right? And guess what else they're going to be having? They're also going to be having a ruck that morning, and I freaking took it off. Gosh damn it. I took it off.
Too many things on there, and you took it all off.
So Scott Friedenberg is having a ruck that morning about 4.5 miles away, because that's all I'm going to walk is 4.5 miles.
I want to see you make that. And it's going to take you 65
Omaha.
days.
So it's going to be in Ashland, Nebraska. It's between Omaha and Lincoln. And they're going to be walking there.
It is funny, Tato, because I just go, oh boy, here we go.
Here we go.
I put my ass off just walking 1 mile at the milk plant whenever I have to go pick up a load of milk. So no, real quick. No, honestly, Jason's been on great guys as a great thing going on. Herostock.org. There's a bunch of different organizations that are together. They're going to have music. They're going to have tons of food. We've got Scotty Hastings. We've got, I could go down the list. I think
all our podcasting buddies.
I know that
Shadow Mark.
I know Shadow
Donald,
Mark's going to be there. I know
Two drunk dudes. Is Brian's going too? I saw.
Yes, Brian's going to go. Brian Roof and his wife's going. This is his wife.
And you said that's in Nebraska?
Yeah, Nebraska. It's called Ashland, Nebraska, between Omaha and Lincoln.
Yeah,
September 9th.
I got you.
So I'm going. I think I'm driving. I might be driving with Gary Miller Mobile Tax Service. Maybe we'll see. Not quite sure.
I know. Isn't there a big thing going on in Katy? Isn't there a big thing going on in Katy, Texas, in September too?
Is that the Silkies? I think the Silkies are doing.
I can't remember.
They've got a strobe action.
That's me. It's my light. All of a sudden.
Gotta get a new one.
Yeah.
It's just money.
It's just production, right?
Yeah.
Look, it didn't even matter. It didn't change anything.
Can't even tell nothing.
Exactly.
No, they do have some cool boots. I'm checking out their clearance. They have the clearance model right now, the Maritime Assault Mid Boot in olive, and it's pretty cool. Reasonable too, $60.
Yeah, they're not bad, man. Like the Maritimes are the ones that I own. I own all the low tops and the high tops of them. I love them, but like I said, I've been wearing them for a while. So when I was doing my videos leading up to the walk, I think it kind of captured them because they saw that I was taking videos, and you see my shoes. So they kind of reached out to me, started following me. So it kind of worked out really good for me.
That's cool.
But, yeah, they have a mid unisex black regular for about $110. I'm like, it looks kind of cool.
If you can wear Chuck Taylors, you can wear them. They're very flat. There's not a whole lot of you're not going to get the tennis shoe,
the air ride.
You're not going to get nothing like that out of them. But as far as just and that's what I left walking in. But I was like, I need some fucking running shoes or something. I was like, this is getting horrible. So
was there a thought process on that, or were you
spoiled.
just like, man, put my shoes on and going?
Well, the thought process was I wasn't gonna be carrying any weight. It was just gonna be me. So it was kind of like, and like I said, I'd been so before I left, I was working out in the gym in the morning from 5 to 6:30, and then I would go walk national parks from 6:30 to 4:30, and then I go back to the gym from 5 to 6. And I mean, I would work out for almost 12 hours a day. I was on it, and I was like, I'm good. Like I can walk in these shoes.
Listening.
Yeah, and at first I was, but and I was thinking, in my trailer, I was going to have my protein, I was going to have my vitamins, I was going to have all my stuff with me, and I tried to take, protein and vitamins with me when I left in my ruck. And I was like, fuck this protein, fucking vitamins. I'm not gonna live long enough to take this shit.
Can't even carry this.
Yeah, so it got down to minimum, and I'm a pretty minimalist person anyway, as far as what I own, I don't own a whole lot. And I was like, well, let me just break this down to a pack axe, a hacksaw, a sleeping bag, and some way to cook. I was like, so.
Now, what were your walking times?
So every day I'd wake up at 5 a.m. And usually I would do that so that I could have time to get up, eat some breakfast, and I wanted to be walking by about 7. And I didn't choose 7 in the beginning. I chose it on the way because that's when I started noticing the traffic was getting a little lighter. Because everything that my route was taking me was down highways, not interstates, but like back highways, like Highway 70, Highway 64. So because by law you can't walk down the interstate, and I guess Google freaking knows that. So so it took me down a whole bunch of it took me from Fayetteville up to Boone. Like I walked probably 150 miles out of my way, but for me it was okay because the only other route it was going to take me was through Atlanta, Georgia, and I was like, I'm not walking.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
No, come on. We love people.
Dude, have you driven there?
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of my thing. Is like I've seen the traffic, and I'll be damned if I'm be walking without the traffic.
I've driven there, and I mean the only thing worse is LA traffic. So
It's bad down there. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't want to walk through Atlanta with all that traffic. You know, I was like, so when it kind of had me going up through the mountains, and I love being in the mountains, I was like, you know what, this isn't going to be bad. And until I got there, and it was, you know, the end of February, and it was 13 degrees outside. I was like, oh my God.
Where's Atlanta again?
Yeah. Let me reroute this thing to Florida. But,
so you didn't have like a preconceived route. You just kind of
it was that route that you guys pulled up was the route that it gave me to walk from the time I started planning back in December or early January.
So
late
you had started that plan. You kind of knew where you were going and what it was going to do.
Yeah, I had kind of zoomed in on everything, seen all the little towns I was going to go through, how many days it was going to take me to get from one town to another, you know, and I tried to route it that way because I was only taking my ruck to where I wouldn't be more than 3 days from being in a town to where I could restock on food and water.
Right.
You know, just because, you know, when I couldn't take, I mean, I could have loaded myself down with nothing but food and water and then it just would have been miserable, you know. And you know, I did stop a lot. One of the places, and I say this, one of the places, but McDonald's was like my best friend because I could get hot coffee and, you know, food at the same time. It's the only place you can do that. It's open 24 hours a damn day, you know. So,
and it doesn't cost you $1 million.
Yeah, well, and they usually have outlets where I can charge my phone and charge my battery packs and charge my watch, you know, because everything I did, I was keeping record on my watch, how many steps I would take a day, you know. So it was very, yeah. So
nice. Now, obviously the walk's done.
Yes, sir.
So what do you feel you gained from it? What do you wish you did differently?
If I could have done one thing differently, I think it would have been stopped by more police departments. You know, in the beginning, I was walking. I didn't even get to the next county from where I left from and had been stopped by the cops 3 times. I was like, this is going to be a long fucking trip, man. You know, and I started
like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, man. They're like, hey, we got a call about a suspicious person with a backpack. I was like, yeah, you got one 7 miles ago too, and 3 miles before that. Like at some point, do y'all not communicate? But you know, it was frustrating. But then I was like, well, you know, they're coming to me. I don't have to go to them. You know,
right.
And I did get to talk to a lot of law enforcement because I say a lot, but I'd say probably anywhere from 8 to 10 times I got stopped by law enforcement on the whole trip. You know,
for suspicious, man.
Well, you know, but you know, and I did get to stop by a few police departments, but not as many as I would like to.
Right.
And you know, I actually, you know, anytime I would see an officer that was like in a gas station parking lot or something like that, I'd walk up, introduce myself, tell him who I was, and had one of them gave me a challenge coin, you know, which I thought was awesome because you know, us military guys, we pride ourselves on our challenge coins, you know. And so that was awesome to receive one from a police department. And but you know, I did hit almost every fire department as long as they weren't in an active call or it wasn't, you know, because sometimes I'd walk till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. It just depended on what because like when it got cold, I kind of restructured my walking. I would walk at night to stay warm and then sleep during the day so I could actually get some decent sleep, you know. And then once I hit Texas, it was so freaking hot. I would walk at night and then try to sleep in the shade during the day so I could get some decent sleep.
You were
and
just straight up sleeping outside, wherever you could find.
Yeah, for the most part, about every week and a half, I would get a hotel just so I could get a good night's sleep, get a shower, you know, so people could stand to be around me and I could stand to be around myself. But I mean, I bathed in rivers, I bathed in waterfalls, I bathed in lakes. I camped out. You know, I would get, you know, 40, 50 yards off the highway in a wood line and set up camp. And, you know, I think I only started a fire like to actually get warm 3 times, and one of those 3 times I had a fire department called on me because I guess somebody seen it burning off the side of the road like the woods are on fire. The fire department showed up, and I was doing a TikTok live when they showed up, and I was like, oh look, we're going to jail, you know. But they, you know, they checked the campsite, made sure everything was cleared out, you know, and it was all good, and they actually started following me on Facebook and Instagram. Cool. So you know, and that was one of the things that I found kind of, I guess one of the other things I probably would have done different is is talk to a little more people that, I probably would have stopped more. As I guess what I'm trying to say, because I watched my social media grow very organically. Like people I would meet and talk to, then I would see them follow me, 2 or 3 people at a time, over, and then 5 or 6 people, and then, 3 or 4 people the next day that I would talk to. So and it was like, oh, I know that person. I actually talked to that person, so that was really cool. But like I said, if I had to do one thing different, would have been stopping a little more often, especially in the beginning. Because in the beginning, my mindset was fucking get there, like go, and then it got to the point, especially in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, that whole trip was a couple 100 miles to get through all of the mountains. And that was probably the hardest part of physically of everything. Because, I hadn't trained for elevation. I hadn't trained for walking up and down mountains. But during that whole part, it kind of became more about the journey than it did, the destination for me. It wasn't, it wasn't like just get there. It was like, let's take some time and enjoy some of this, and share more of this with the people, that are watching. And that's when I started getting like, waterfalls and lakes and rivers and stuff, on my social media. So
here's Eagleville Fire Department.
Yep.
And what's cool is you used Alpha Mega Music. You used their video and they commented on it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I thought it was so awesome. I was like, hell yeah, man, like that's cool. And I'm a huge coffee connoisseur, so there's plenty of coffee. That was JT Cooper, by the way. He was involved in Mogadishu in the Black Hawk Down incident.
Oh, wow.
The other guy that I was standing with the American flag, that is Tim French. He actually walks almost every day for fallen veterans out of Clarksville, Tennessee, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So that's JT Cooper, or JP or JT. Anyway, his last name's Cooper, but he invited me to his house. That guy's a saint, man. He is a saint. He actually has a nonprofit that invites veterans up to, and he links them up with Nashville songwriters, and they tell their story, and then the Nashville songwriter writes a song about that particular service member's story. So, cool. So many people, man. The other guy that was in there, he's on TikTok. He's pretty big, some country 83, I know him as Justin. I met him through TikTok, and he happened to live right through where I was walking. So we went out and had lunch. I thought that was kind of neat.
That's cool.
So
I think my favorite of all your social media to be honest, I was on Instagram, but I think this is my favorite picture. You know which one it is?
Waterfall.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. So that was Horseshoe Bend last May.
That's Arizona, isn't it?
Arizona or Arizona. Yep. I believe it is Arizona. But yeah, that was at Horseshoe Bend. So I did a 9-day Vegas, Upper Antelope Canyons, Grand Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, went to Flagstaff, Arizona for the Meteor or whatever that thing is. Yeah, that was out in that was like some Indian, like Native American, whatever, like homestead, like things that they had that had been crumbled over time. But,
and you're always repping RenoVet.
Always, man. So that hoodie,
you're in Arizona right there. No, you're on the coast right there.
Yeah, so that's in Wilmington. That was when I was kind of prepping for the walk. But that hoodie that I'm wearing in that picture, Joe Rogan has it now.
Nice.
So
that's cool. Yeah. And he acknowledged it.
So I didn't get to meet Joe Rogan. I got to meet Joe Rogan's bodyguard, but not in a bad way. So I will clarify. So the guy that he only had one security guard with him. Because he has a comedy club down in
6'5". Dude, he could whoop some ass though.
Yeah.
Rogan, well, and Joe can handle himself.
Anyway, his bodyguard looks like Joe Rogan wouldn't need to get involved. I promise you.
I bet.
But so Joe Rogan has the Mothership Comedy Club, I think, or comedy, whatever it is. So I actually it had Joe Rogan and friends Tuesday through Thursday night, and I got into Austin on Tuesday. So I went ahead and walked the rest of the 16 miles into Austin and was at the comedy club. And he actually came up in a truck, got out and ran right inside, being quick. So when the bodyguard backed the truck up, I seen him, and when he went in, I waited till 2:30 that morning from 6 o'clock that night. Waited till 2:30 in the morning when his bodyguard came out. I was like, "Hey man, can I holler at you for a minute?" And he said, Joe probably wouldn't want to meet with me. And I said, I understand that. I said, I don't need him to meet with me now. Can you just let him know who I am and what I'm doing? And I told him the story and gave him my hoodie because it had my phone number on it and a beanie, that had my logo on it to give because every bald guy loves a beanie, right? But so it was the guy had to have been prior service, man. He literally like touched his heart. He's like, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing and how much respect I have for you, man. Yeah, give me that. I'll make sure he gets it, So
That's cool.
So it was that was pretty much the end of the trip for me. At that point I was like, what the hell do I do now? Like, go home?
Yeah, take it home.
So what was that like? Like you were just like, okay, I did it.
When I got into Austin, as I was walking into it, it got pretty emotional for me because it was like I said, I'm used to having somewhere I have to be, somewhere I have to go, something I have to do, every day. And then it was like, what the shit do I do now? Because I never really posted anything on social media until, this, or until the walk. So, but and then at the same time, it's like, that became another reason I did what I did was because I wanted people to know that if they're going to trust me with their money, I want them to know that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to fucking do. You know what I mean? And not everybody can say that I know there's people that have done a lot more than that, but, not a lot of people can say that they've walked 1,400 miles and rucked it and roughed it, and I can, and that's why I say, that became kind of one of the things behind it was, meeting people, getting in touch with people, letting people know what we were doing, and like I said, spreading that mental health because mental health for me had a different meaning 20 years ago when I got out, or almost 20 years ago when I got out than it did, up until July of last year. There's people that are suffering mental health stuff that have never served. And that's something that in my mind, was like, it would be cool if I could get something going for veterans like I'm trying to do. And then maybe somebody who wants to help with like domestic violence victims, I could say, look, I don't know much about that, but here's what I did to get my stuff going. You know what I mean? And because that's what it's all about. It's all about every community helping every community, to me, so.
Well, that's, amazing story. Like, it's pretty cool. Did you think what was your plan on the timing? Like, how long did you think it was going to take?
At first, I thought it was going to be 65 to 70 days because, like I said, I first initially planned just walking,
Right.
But it wound up taking me 90 days, because one of the things that I thought I was allowing for, but didn't allow enough time for was weather. There were some days when I was right outside of Waynesboro, Tennessee. They had tornadoes come through and rip that place apart, and I was in place for 5 days.
Wow.
I walked through after. What's that?
You're kind of a badass, but I don't know if you want to go walking through a tornado.
Well, so funny story. I got caught in one in Midway, Texas, and actually busted the window out of a church to get out of it.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't hear that.
Well, I paid for the window. I actually called the cops on myself, said, hey, look, this is what happened. I was laying down and I felt the temperature drop. And I was like, what in the hell is happening right now? And then I heard the hail hitting buildings, and then lightning just started hitting within 100 yards of me in every direction.
Wow.
And I was like, what the shit? It was horrible. And then I seen this tree and branches just start flying out of it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. So I ran up to a building beside a church and thought it was a brand new metal building. And, I forgot about the train. Anyway, but yeah, so I actually, so I was pushing on the window to see how much ass I was going to have to get into this church, and the motherfucker broke. So I went ahead and just kicked the rest of it out. I was like, well, let me go in and get inside of here. I wound up cutting myself, bleeding all over the floor of this place. The cops came, they called the pastor. The pastor said, look, man, just help me pay for the window and it's all good. I said, cool. So I sent him the money.
That's cool.
But Brian brought up the train stories. I'm going to hell for this. But anyway, so I had made like a Moses walking stick, right? I made this healthy walking stick. I was like, you know, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna be,
Yeah.
So I'm walking. So I'm walking down the train tracks to get off the highway, get away from the busy road,
Right.
And I don't know how I didn't hear this train. All I know is that something told me to turn around, and I turned around, and the train seemed to be at a pretty good distance. But I just heard this high-pitched noise, and I was saying, man, they're blowing the horn at me, And then I noticed how fast this son of a bitch was going. I was like, this fuck is about to hit me. So I jump off the tracks and run through the woods and get to the road. As the train goes by me, this high-pitched noise that I was hearing was the fucking brakes. They were locking this thing down. And so it stops about 100, 200 yards, somewhere between 100 and 200 yards in front of me. The front of this train comes to a stop. So I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, damn, they'd have killed me. They would have never stopped. So I'm walking with this walking stick, and I hear this guy on the front of this train, you stupid you dumb. So I grab the walking stick and start tapping the ground in front of me like I'm fucking blind. No, like I did. I just started tapping, like just ignoring him, just tapping the ground, man. He was cussing me. So if your Amazon packages were late in May, I'm sorry about that, or March.
Did they buy it? Did they buy it?
I don't know. Well, he never came up to me and said anything. No. So maybe, but I mean, that was and then I got rid of the walking stick and I quit walking down railroad tracks. So I'm not gonna do that.
That's worth it. That's worth the whole interview right there.
That's a clip right there.
Freaking church and act like you're blind.
Yeah,
definitely going to hell.
but yeah, so
that.
But I can say this, I met of all the good people that I've met, man. I can't say how many families took me in, how many people fed me, how many people offered rides. It was amazing. I only had one encounter really with anyone negative, and it was a group of guys. It was a group of guys that were trying to pretty much take my backpack. They thought I had drugs. Like that was hey man, you got any yay? I'm like, what the fuck is yay? And then they're like, you got any fin? And then I kind of put two and two together, like, damn, they're asking me if I got drugs, And I was like, no, I don't. And then one guy crossed the street and started coming towards me, and I kind of backed up and took a stance. And then the other two guys that were walking up the sidewalk crossed the street and then started coming at me on my side of the road. And I was like, I can see you. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. And then they started talking like, give me the backpack. Give me what's in the backpack. And so I pulled my shirt up, and I remember this old saying that I had back in the day. And I was like, look, man, I got two things, bubble gum and hot lead. And I'm all out of bubble gum. And I pulled my shirt up and grabbed my pistol. And they're like, oh, we aren't who you thought you were. And I was like, your next fucking victim? Like, leave me the fuck alone, man. Yeah. And those were the only, and I walked through Memphis. I walked through right outside of Little Rock. I walked through Shreveport, Austin, and didn't have any problems. This place was this tiny little town in Arkansas, and it's called Spring Forest or Forest City, and everybody warned me about all these big cities. Nobody warned me about, and nobody warned me about Forest City, fucking Arkansas. Which was
where's Forest City, Arkansas compared to you? He's probably not on it anymore.
But that was the only encounter I had with anybody remotely.
I mean, for the amount of walking, that's not a bad ratio right there.
And wildlife. I was praying to see some wildlife. I was getting hungry some days, but I didn't see much, man. I seen a couple snakes and a couple squirrels.
Nothing, huh? Out in the wild. Wow.
But it's probably a good thing I didn't have to shoot anything, considering while I was walking. But what is it?
Green Forest?
No, I think it's called Forest City.
Okay.
Huh. Well, man, Jason, what an amazing story!
So, we've been going for hours.
I know. we gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
So, what an amazing story! Thank you so much for joining us, man. That was great. Like, just I love the train story. I mean, the ending was absolutely wonderful.
Mike, do you have your paper?
No. Oh, No, but I gotta. No, I don't have it printed out, but I'll have to pull up the email. Sorry, we got a little.
Did you know?
Let's finish with Jason, and then we'll do that. We probably should do it up front. We got to remember to do that up front.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, one last really hard question for you. You're chilling at the end of the night. You know, what's your go-to drink?
If I have a choice, it's going to be Jack Daniels and Mountain Dew.
Jack Daniels and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it's very good. And if it's not that, it'll be straight Scotch and a good cigar. So
nice.
So I try to be bougie, but I'm not. So, I'm trying to get
I
me a
am not
roll.
a wine guy except on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Hey man, they got this stuff called Cupcake. You can buy on Food Line. I'll drink the hell out of that shit.
It's like $3.99 at your Vaughn's. Shit. So
Love it.
That's fun.
That's made right up the road from us here, actually.
Really?
In Napa.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming to see you guys then.
Mike's the wine guy.
I'm the wine freak.
Yeah,
my wife and
I come over here and get to venture into some stuff that I definitely am not part of. But I enjoy it. I don't spit it out.
I hear you. Well, that was most alcohol, like I don't really drink any now, at all, hardly. But, special occasions and stuff, like I said, man, throw a little bit of Gentleman Jack and some Mountain Dew. That was my stepdad. He raised me. That was his drink of choice. And I said, man, let me try that one day. And I couldn't taste the liquor hardly at all. I was like, this probably can get me hammered. So it's kind of stuck.
Hey,
where do you come from, Mikey?
What?
You wouldn't know about cupcakes,
Eric. Well, I think
you guys got 13 days left of work, and he's gonna bust my chops all the way to the end, ain't he? Love you, buddy.
He is.
Woo pigs. What's that flavor taste like? Mountain Dew and
I don't know.
It just tastes like Mountain Dew, man. You just throw you a shot in a little liquor glass. It's good. So,
well, Jason, thank you very much. Like I said, we'll get your site, we'll get your TikTok up.
We'll put all that on
when we post this on all the podcasting sites.
I appreciate
it. Available on YouTube all the time. You're now embroiled on the internet forever on this. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for what you continue to do with RenoVet. I think it's pretty cool to do what you're doing.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. That means a lot. I appreciate it. And Brian Roof, I love you too, man.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He is. He's solid.
A good dude.
Well, thank you very much. Hang out if you'd like. We can chat real quick after we get out of here.
Yes, sir.
We just got a couple minutes. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. Again, Jason Rhodes with RenoVet, and go check him out on TikTok. Check out his site. We'll get it all posted. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
How do you do?
So we do have to do that, right?
Yeah, you want to send it to me, or you want to do it?
No, I just have it on here. So don't forget all that Contagion Effect can now be heard on Reese Across America Radio. You can hear that on Tuesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern time. You can find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Just search the word Reese. So we're excited about that. It's pretty cool. You'll see it's always kind of weird for me for the timing, because we have our show that we do live Thursday, and then we kind of get reposted on Tuesday, and I'm already planning on the next Thursday, so it kind of messes with my head.
Yep.
But Eric, another great job getting another great guest.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you to you.
Yeah.
Anything else for the show tonight?
Next week, Ducey's Outfitters Ministry. That's gonna be a big show. That'll be a lot of comments coming up, and I just appreciate what Jason had, man. The true, honest, down to earth. Just, man, I heard something. I need to go do it. Raising money, raised over $4,700 worth of funds to,
and we need to keep helping that out
for sure. Yeah, and like I said,
vets.
Contagion Effect do some ducats on it. So We always want to help our vets when we can. And again, tag us, subscribe, subscribe, send us stuff.
I love that, Tato. I know.
Yeah, no,
he got me
right?
tired when he was just talking about his working out for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I get you.
So yeah, no, appreciate all you guys. We are one community and we all belong together and we like to help each other out. And for sure, man, we don't say, oh man, we're not part of it. Now we're part of it, man. I appreciate all you guys too, and I know we talked throughout the week and just, hey, check on the veteran, man, check on the veteran, check out our friend, because we may say that we're good, but you never know what happens. So remember, dial 988 or text 838-255 for help. And again, you can always message us and get a hold of us. And we're there for you guys. So thanks, everyone.
Deuces.
Deuce.